Keek on the mic, Keek on the mic, Keek on the mic, Keek on the mic. People, this the intro.
Talk bad about my team, you must be a clown. This is Keek on the mic, so you know you better bear down. Bear down. Bear down.
Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. Like always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you also follow me on all my social media platforms to stay connected with all Keek on the Mic news. So, Bears fans, I wanted to come on here on the podcast today and kind of get away from talking about the Chicago Bears offense and Justin Fields. Even though we are so excited for the Chicago Bears offense and Justin Fields this season, I want to switch things up and talk a little bit more about the Chicago Bears defense, primarily the Chicago Bears secondary. And I wanted to start out this podcast by singling out Chicago Bears second-round rookie Tyrique Stevenson. Right while on social media today, Chad Reuter of NFL.com posted his all-rookie defensive team, and this is a projected team for the 2023 season. And I'm going to put this list up right now. And as you go down this list of Chad Reuter's list, you see Tyrique Stevenson made the list for one of the cornerbacks that he thinks will make the all-rookie defensive team this season. And I know this is just a projection, but this is a true testament of the hype that Tyrique Stevenson is getting going into this new season for the Chicago Bears. So this is a good opportunity for me to come on here to talk a little bit more about Tyrique Stevenson and what he will actually offer to the Chicago Bears defense. As we all know, Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears opted to trade up and select Tyrique Stevenson in round 2 of this past NFL draft. And right away, it got rave reviews from multiple analysts, from multiple coaches, from multiple GMs, saying that this guy was an absolute stud and this guy was an absolute steal. And it did actually carry over into these early mini camp and OTA practices, where right away he popped off the scene and he was making plays left and right, and he fit in right away. You heard left and right that he was picking off Justin Fields, that he was getting his hands on the football, that his instincts and his competitive was really showing, that he was a likable guy in the locker room, already stepping up as a leader, getting reps with the ones as well. And instantly, with all this being said, Tyrique Stevenson has already been penciled in as a possible starter opposite of Jalen Johnson. So far, so good for Tyrique Stevenson. And this is a really good sign for the Chicago Bears secondary, because we all know that Ryan Poles put in a lot of work into the secondary before Ryan Poles came in as the Chicago Bears GM. We can probably consider as Bears fans that the Chicago Bears secondary was actually one of the weak points of the Chicago Bears defense. But now, by adding Tyrique Stevenson, if he continues to impress at camp and he continues to carry this momentum into training camp, into the preseason, and into the regular season, he can, in fact, be a solid starter for the Chicago Bears opposite of Jalen Johnson. This could possibly give this Chicago Bears defense a really good young core in terms of when you're looking at the secondary. Of course, you have a solid starter, a lockdown corner in Jalen Johnson. And then you have Tyrique Stevenson. If he could continue going in the right direction, that's really good. And of course, you have Kyler Gordon coming back in year 2, where in his rookie season, I know he started out kind of slow, but he did end the year really well. And ended the season with 3 interceptions. So Kyler Gordon's looking good as well. And of course, you still have Eddie Jackson, the really good veteran at safety. And of course, Jaquan Brisker, the stud strong safety, coming back for year 2 for the Chicago Bears defense. So kudos to Ryan Poles on what he was able to do with the secondary, because it looks like we have a good, solid, young core. Obviously, we all say this, that our secondary will only be as good as the defensive line. We all know that Ryan Poles also did address the defensive line. So if the defensive line is improved, that means the secondary will be improved. But what Ryan Poles has done with the secondary is absolutely incredible. He's added a bunch of guys that are competitive, that love the game of football, the guys that have instincts, guys that love to get their hands on the football, guys that love to tackle. And that is everything that Tyrique Stevenson is. He's a big and long corner. He's 6 foot, 205 pounds. Like I said, he has good instincts. He's competitive. He's physical and he loves to tackle, and that's one of the things that Matt Eberflus mentioned in a previous interview when regarding Tyrique Stevenson, that he is the perfect fit in the Chicago Bears defense, and he's the perfect cornerback, everything that Matt Eberflus wants in his cornerback. So he fits perfectly within the Chicago Bears defense. So kudos to Ryan Poles on what he's been able to do with the secondary, because now it's one of the strong points the Chicago Bears defense, and it looks like we have a bunch of guys that are absolutely locked down. So once again, if our defensive line can improve, or our defensive line can actually get after the quarterback, that's going to really help our secondary perform, and we just have a bunch of dogs on the secondary, and I'm really excited to see these guys work. With all this being said, in the same post that Chad Reuter posted, giving his predictions of the all rookie defensive team for 2023 for this upcoming season, it also captioned this: is the 2023 Defensive Rookie of the Year on this list? So let's ask the question. I'm going to have you guys answer it today on Geek on the Mic. Do you guys think that Tyrique Stevenson can be the Defensive Rookie of the Year? And I'm going to say, why not? Like the early indications earlier in the podcast, early indications are saying that Tyrique Stevenson is looking really good in camp, and it's looking like the Chicago Bears got an absolute steal in round 2 of the NFL draft. And this is a guy that looks like he's going to contribute right away. I think for Tyrique Stevenson, it's all going to be about if the defensive line can perform. If the defensive line is better for the Chicago Bears defense, that's obviously going to help our secondary. But this is a guy, like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, that's physical, that likes to compete. And a guy that I feel like is going to contribute right away. He's going to be in your face. I think he's going to get a lot of hands on footballs. If he can get a couple of interceptions, he can prove to be a solid tackler once we get into the regular season games for the Chicago Bears. And if he can prove that he can contribute right away for the Chicago Bears defense, he could very well be in the conversation for Defensive Rookie of the Year. And I know there's still a long way to go. I know we still have training camp. I still know that we have preseason. But like I just mentioned, the early indications are saying that Tyrique Stevenson is an absolute stud and a guy that should be able to contribute for the Chicago Bears defense right away. So overall, Bears fans, I'm super excited to see what Tyrique Stevenson does once training camp gets going. And I'm excited to see the development of him as a player, because I think he will contribute and really help this defense get a whole lot better for the Chicago Bears this season. So Bears fans, once again, before I let you guys go, let me ask you guys this. Do you guys think that Tyrique Stevenson could be in the conversation for Defensive Rookie of the Year once the season ends? Let me know down below in the comment section. Before I let you guys go, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms, and make sure you share this episode of Geek on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. But other than that, back for all new Bears podcasts right here on Geek on the Mic. Thanks, guys, and bear down.
You've been listening to Geek on the Mic, a podcast all about the Chicago Bears. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Thanks, guys, and bear down.